Ever heard of Eternal Champions? That's a rhetorical question.
Don't answer that.
It was Sega's answer to Mortal Kombat and features a chicken from Vietnam named Crispy. It's getting a movie.
And no matter how bad it is, it'll still probably be better than Borderlands.
We watched it on vacations. We never got to the Erlands part.
Welcome to NecroNews, the show where we cover the hottest gaming news from the last week. Or in this case, 2 weeks because we were on vacation. But we'll talk more about that on Saturday when our birthday anniversary donathon happens. That thing, that special stream, yeah. Be there, or else. It'll also be my live 2D reveal, so yeah, check it out.
And if that's not enticing enough, Elle will be dressed up as a maid, on camera, blessing and or spitting on your pancakes that I'm gonna cook for you. And if you guys actually manage to hit the dono goal, I'll wear a maid outfit too, I guess. But we have 2 weeks of gaming news to talk about, so let's get right to it.
And as always, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
Like zombie erotica.
What?
Well, actually, it's the lack of erotica that's the focus of this week's story, as it's been discovered that the Dead Rising remake has removed the erotica score tag from the photography minigame, which, to be fair, was pretty buggy, but anyway.
And before anyone starts worrying about their undead waifu pictures being taken away, degenerates, Capcom released a statement regarding the change. I'm not going to read everything on the screen, but basically, the change isn't due to a change in cultural climate, but more that why would Frank take lewd pictures of zombies that are trying to kill him? Which is fine and everything, but then why does he ride around on a tricycle while dressed up as Mega Man?
Anyway, despite this one arguably bad change, they have showcased a slew of improvements and quality of life changes to the game, so that's nice, at least.
And on the topic of bad Capcom games being made good, Maximilian Dude's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite mod has now entered beta and is available to download, if that's something that you care about.
We live for 2 weeks and everyone decides it's time to fuck something up. What the hell, guys?
I'm not that surprised. But anyway, Arena Breakout Infinite, which is not some sort of Arkanoid multiplayer game, is in fact a Tarkov competitor. No one had really heard or cared about it until the whole pay-to-win Tarkov scandal thing with their Unheard edition, so it's understandable if you've never actually heard of it.
Right, so Arena Breakout Infinite, which actually I'm just gonna call it Abby because I hate that name. Abby introduced itself as a competitor to Tarkov and was aiming to do a lot of the same stuff. There were accusations of stolen assets and other things, but nothing really stuck. However, they did steal one idea from Tarkov.
And do you want to guess what they stole? Come on, guess. That's right, pay-to-win mechanics.
And that's temporary pay-to-win mechanics since each purchase only lasts for 30 days. So yeah, fuck that game.
Next up is Arrowhead, and they're also stupidly named Escalation of Freedom update for Helldivers 2.
How do you even escalate freedom? Do you make it freer?
It probably means something like escalating it to other planets, right? Like to spread freedom?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Anyway, this was a major update that came with a lot of major additions for the game, such as new enemy types, new mission types, and a new war bond themed around fire. Which would be super cool if they didn't then decide to nerf fire weapons to be more realistic in a game with, giant bugs and mechs and robots.
So yeah, players were pissed that one of their main options for dealing with chargers was being nerfed, and that also the automaton's Hulk flamethrowers were seemingly left alone from these nerfs. So, once again, the review bomb stratagem was called in, and now the game has something in common with the Borderlands movie, as fucking no one likes it.
Unlike the people in charge of the Borderlands movie, however, Arrowhead once again listened to their fans, and they released an apology letter posted to Reddit saying that they will continue to re-examine our approach to balance. Our intention is that balance should be fun, not balance for the sake of balance. Overwatch.
This listen to our players stance that Arrowhead has is the exact and unique opposite stance that WB's gaming division has. And it's cost them $200 million. And they're still dropping. For people who don't speak money, they're becoming broke-ass bitches.
And as you can guess, they're panicking. Their first thought was to sell studios, but without their games. Like selling NetherRealm Studios without Mortal Kombat. But nobody wants to buy a studio without their game, so no one took that up. Duh.
So now they're open to both the sale of studios and IPs. And thankfully, they're looking to license their IPs now. So hopefully, DC games can be good again. Though, of course, there's always the possibility that they could become like Games Workshop, and we'll get another Fire Warrior on our hands. Oh, and also, you're gonna hate this, babe.
What?
The Hogwarts Legacy sequel is coming, and it's going to be a live service game with microtransactions.
It's okay, we still have the Quidditch game.
It also has microtransactions.
Fuck.
On the plus side, there was some good news this past 2 weeks. Local Thunk, the guy who made Balatro, has put into his will that the Balatro IP will never be allowed to be sold, licensed, or anything to any gambling company or casino. So there's that, at least. A quick recap on Tango Gameworks before our next story. Ahem! They launched Hi-Fi Rush to a massive critical and commercial success. Microsoft enjoys the success and says they love strong indie titles. But then they closed the studio because Tango Gameworks had the gall to want to make a new game. And all of this is because Phil Spencer decided buying Activision was a good idea, and everyone else has to pay for it.
At the very least, Bobby Kotick is out of the picture. Anyway, there have been new developments with Tango as they've been bought out by the South Korean publisher Krafton. And if you've never heard of them, they own the Subnautica devs Unknown Worlds and some other small games.
Oh, and one little game you may have heard of, PUBG!
And it's been discovered that the main and possibly only reason they bought out Tango was to get a hold of the talented people behind it. Now, not every original employee was available, since half the former staff are seemingly with other companies now. But at least with this news, the staff at Tango Gameworks will have jobs again.
Unfortunately, the Tango name is still effectively dead, which means we probably won't see another Evil Within or anything anytime soon. That said, this news comes on the heels of interesting news from Krafton's homeland of South Korea. So this news was kind of buried, but GameInformer published... GameInformer? I thought they were gone. Anyway, GameInformer published an article with an interesting observation on what's happening in the SK games industry. Basically, there's a stereotype that South Korean game development is effectively just free-to-play gacha games and an MMO hellhole. Which, when you look at companies like Nexon, is it really a stereotype?
The answer to that is no. However, the article presented an interesting observation. A dramatic increase in demand is being seen from both South Korean gamers and developers for single-player games. Various personnel for companies including ShiftUp, Round 8 Studio, and Prolibus have noticed a growing interest in making single-player games for consoles and PC. To quote Lies of Peace director Ji-won Choi,
"We definitely sense a transformation is beginning in the Korean game industry. Previously, the focus was almost entirely on mobile games, particularly genres like MMORPGs, collectible gacha games, and idle games. Now there's growing interest in the PC console market and many teams are beginning to develop..." Wait. Lies of P is Korean. I had no idea, I thought it was French.
Honestly, I didn't know it was Korean either. But why French?
Because look at it. Ellie, look at it. Pinocchio is a French name.
It's Italian?
Pinocchio, no, it's French. It takes place in the Eiffel Tower, or has the Eiffel Tower in it, in the movie.
Game?
Right, well, no, right, but Pinocchio, like the movie, has the Eiffel Tower in it, I think.
But Pinocchio is an Italian name.
No?
Anyway, if you guys want to read the article yourself, we scanned the article and linked it in the description down below. Since, GameStop won't do it themselves, cowards.
Remember when The Escapist effectively sank because the higher-ups were dogpiling on this guy, so seemingly every video editor jumped ship to form Second Wind? Yeah, that's sinking too. For the same reason. Maybe the CEO wasn't wrong after all.
If you'll recall, a few weeks ago, we reported that Frost had actually resigned from Second Wind. This came as a surprise to many as everyone, us included, believed that Frost and the rest of the old Escapist team had left with Nick in solidarity.
However, according to Frost's 20-minute video, that is most definitely not the case.
If Nick is so bad, then why did the others resign in solidarity? That's not how it went down. It just looked better for the news.
Here's a small list of things that Nick was accused of. Being terminally online and enticing flame wars for Twitter blue bucks. Slandering. Cyberstalking. Threatening to have someone blacklisted from working in games journalism. repeatedly attempting to leverage his previous position in order to get PR jobs at various game companies, taking $4,000 for his Kickstarter from a game studio in exchange for a documentary for them, promising volunteers who worked on his Kickstarter project that they would get partial ownership. Then he sold it, threatening to mobilize the audience of Second Wind against people in the industry.
And specifically for The Escapist, he's been accused of having backdoor deals with publishers and developers for coverage, giving positive coverage on bad games to maintain positive relationships with certain publishers and developers, being a gaslighting manipulative piece of shit, having a bad content strategy that didn't work for The Escapist and wasn't working for Second Wind, falsifying metrics for his superiors, and finally lying to his staff about the changes The Escapist would make if he, Nick, were to be fired. That last one is especially interesting because according to Nick, if he was fired, everyone except for Frost, Omar, and Yahtzee were going to have to edit a ton of videos.
But Frost had discovered that 1, that wasn't true at all, and 2, if Nick had just been fired by himself, then Frost, Omar, and Yahtzee would have gotten an expanded amount of creative freedom, and Frost would have been the new video head. This last note is something Frost discovered afterwards, and when he asked Nick if this was true, of course he denied it. Because look at him.
And as you can probably tell, with Nick in charge, the staff is allegedly misinformed all of the time. Surprisingly though, it's not because of any ulterior motives or even malicious intent. He's just not incompetent. In fact, when Frost asked someone at Second Wind if Yahtzee would leave if Nick left the company, he was told that the company would be fine without Yahtzee. And spoiler alert, they wouldn't be.
This is really a super condensed version of all the events, so definitely go check out the full video by Frost, which we linked down below. Also, while there are logs, audio recordings, and pretty much all of this evidence, at the end of the day, it is just allegations. And in the spirit of allegations, we have the response from Second Wind linked down below. So I'm genuinely curious, what do you guys think of all of this? I like Yahtzee. Elle even likes Yahtzee. So I don't know what I think of everything, but Yahtzee should just fuck off and do his own thing.
Agreed.
This week's Buried Alive Banger, a segment where we cover a game our community doesn't think has had enough attention, is called the Painscreek Killings.
Painscreek Killings is a true mystery game. You play as a reporter who's looking into the mystery of the Painscreek Killings. It's called a true mystery game because there's no help or direction outside of the basic tutorial. You literally just have to explore and piece together the puzzle. The graphics are a little rough, but the game itself is engaging enough that it shouldn't really matter. To most.
Here's the games coming out the remainder of the week. Oh, look, it's Concord.
And as far as our schedule goes, the only thing that we have planned other than this video is our birthday anniversary Donathon stream, which is this Saturday.
You should be there. And there's gonna be like pancakes and maid outfits and animals and a bunch of fun stuff.
Do it. Do it, bitches.
And that's it for this week's NecroNews. Kept you waiting, huh? If you like what we do here and you want to keep up to date, subscribe to the channel.
This was a bigger episode, and we are sorry we are late because this was supposed to come out yesterday. However, fuck American Airlines. But as always, a special thank you to our channel members and to everyone else who's donated so far on the coffee.
That's all we have this week, so until next time,
Goodbye.